There are certain moments in life when someone enters your world and instantly the idea of coincidence disappears. You can try to analyze every detail and trace back the chain of events. You can search for reasons and explanations. Yet deep down, your intuition already knows that logic was never the true force guiding this connection. This person did not simply walk into your life. They arrived with purpose. And the moment they appeared, something shifted within you. Quietly, but permanently. Even now, as you try to move forward, as you tell yourself that chapter has ended, and as you explain the distance with logic, there is still something pulling your attention back toward them. It is not a pull of desperation, it is the pull of recognition. If this message has found its way to you today, it is not by chance. Important messages often appear exactly when the soul is ready to understand them. Carl Jung once said, "Who looks outside dreams, who looks inside awakens." And right now, something deep within you is beginning to awaken. It is a knowing that refuses to stay silent, a feeling that this connection was never meant to be erased so easily. You may have reached a place where you feel divided within yourself, caught between holding on and letting go, torn between trusting your feelings and doubting them because of what your eyes can see. Silence has a way of feeding uncertainty. Distance can cause even the strongest heart to question what it knows. You may have wondered whether you imagined the depth of this connection, whether you gave meaning to something that was never really there. But if it were only imagination, it would have faded by now. Illusions disappear when tested by time. This connection did not disappear. Your soul continues to hold on to this person for a reason. Time did not weaken it. Pain did not destroy it. Every attempt to detach yourself did not truly free you. Instead, each effort to walk away seemed to bring you back to the same quiet understanding. This person matters. Not in the way the ego wants, but in the way the soul understands. This is not obsession. Obsession is restless. It is loud and demanding. What you feel is different. It is calm and deep. It exists beneath thoughts and expectations. It waits without force. It rises during moments of silence. It appears in dreams. It arrives as unexpected waves of emotion that seem to come from nowhere. It feels like unfinished meaning. When you first met this person, something ancient moved within you. It was not attraction alone. It was not simply compatibility. It was familiarity without memory. A feeling that you somehow knew them long before this lifetime introduced you. The conversation may have seemed ordinary, but the energy was not. Your nervous system experienced comfort and intensity at the same time. That combination is rare and unforgettable. Jung once wrote, "The meeting of two personalities is like the contact of two chemical substances. If there is any reaction, both are transformed." You were transformed. And whether you realize it or not, they were transformed as well. The connections that truly change us are never casual. They rearrange something deep within. They unlock doors that can never fully close again. Even now, through the silence and distance, they feel you more than they allow themselves to show. Some people experience emotions internally and express them freely. Others feel deeply, but hide it from the world. Silence is not always the absence of feeling. Sometimes, it is the result of feeling too much and not knowing what to do with it. Your presence awakened something inside them that they were not prepared to face. And instead of moving closer, they stepped back, hoping that distance would quiet what had been stirred. But it did not. Energy does not require words to travel. In their quiet moments when distractions disappear, your memory returns. Not because they are trying to think about you, but because the connection continues to exist. They replay conversations in their mind. They remember the way you made them feel understood. They notice the difference between your presence and the emotional emptiness of everything else. And that comparison unsettles them. They are not distant because they do not care. They are distant because they do. There are inner struggles taking place within them. These are not battles you are meant to fight on their behalf. old wounds, fear of vulnerability, fear of losing control, fear of being seen more deeply than they know how to handle. For some people, love feels unsafe, not because of the other person, but because of what love reveals inside them. This is where many meaningful connections become difficult. One soul awakens sooner. The other resists what the mirror is showing. You became that mirror. You reflected parts of themselves they had hidden away. And rather than rejecting you, they withdrew from the parts of themselves they were not ready to face. Jung explained this idea when he said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate." Right now, much of their behavior is being guided by what remains unhealed and unseen. But awakening cannot be reversed. You cannot unsee what has been revealed. You cannot unknow what your heart has learned. You entered their life to remind them of emotional truth, of kindness, of authenticity. You touched a place within them that had been asleep for a very long time. That kind of impact does not disappear. It stays. It reshapes. It waits. The universe does not waste meaningful encounters. If this connection were meant to end quietly, it would have ended already. Instead, it continues to echo. In signs that capture your attention. In dreams that feel unusually real. In moments when their name appears in your thoughts without effort. These are not interruptions, they are reminders. Not telling you to chase, but encouraging you to trust the process unfolding beyond your control. There is a difference between forcing a door open and knowing that the door will open when the time is right. Your exhaustion is understandable. Loving deeply without certainty can feel heavy. But your hope is not weakness, it is intuition. And intuition does not shout, it waits patiently. Right now, something is changing beneath the surface, not necessarily in ways you can see yet, but internally. Resistance is beginning to soften. Fear is being challenged. The heart that once closed itself off is slowly opening beneath the weight of its own truth. And whether they admit it or not, the thought of losing you forever is becoming more frightening than the thought of trying again. This is not the end of the story. It is a pause before understanding. It is the space where growth takes place. It is the silence where alignment prepares itself. You are not being asked to wait without awareness. You are being asked to remain connected to yourself, to stay open without losing your balance. Jung also said, patience is the key to joy. Not passive patience, but steady patience. The kind that trusts timing while still honoring self-respect. The kind that understands that what is real does not need force. As these words settle within you, pay attention to what resonates naturally. Truth does not need persuasion, it simply arrives. And if your heart feels calmer rather than more anxious, that calmness is your confirmation. This connection is not broken, it is evolving. And during this period of transformation, you are changing just as much as they are. The mind often resists this because the mind wants answers, labels, timelines. The soul works differently. The soul uses uncertainty to refine us. It removes illusions. It dissolves unhealthy dependencies. It clears away false expectations until only what is genuine remains. What you are experiencing right now is not merely waiting. It is becoming. You may have noticed that since this connection entered your life, you are no longer the same person you once were. Your emotional awareness has expanded, your standards have become clearer. You can no longer accept shallow connections or inconsistent love. Something inside you now refuses to settle for anything that does not feel safe, genuine, and aligned. That is not coincidence. That is the mark of a soul-level encounter. Sometimes a connection does not arrive to stay immediately. Sometimes it arrives to awaken you first, to show you what is possible, to reveal what your heart truly needs rather than what it was taught to accept. And once that awakening takes place, you cannot return to the way you were before. Even if the person is absent, The truth they awakened within you remains alive. This is why letting go feels so difficult. Not because you are holding on to a person, but because you are holding on to a deeper truth about yourself that was revealed through them. You discovered how deeply you can love, how open your heart can become, how capable you are of presence, devotion, and emotional honesty. And the soul does not abandon its own growth. There may still be moments when doubt appears unexpectedly. Thoughts asking if this connection were real, would it not be easier? Thoughts wondering if they truly cared, would they not show it more clearly? These questions are natural, but they come from the logical mind trying to measure something that does not always follow straight lines. Soul connections rarely move in direct paths. They move in circles and spirals. They revisit the same lessons at deeper levels each time, asking for more honesty, more courage, and more healing. What makes this connection difficult is not the absence of feeling, it is the difference in readiness. You are prepared to open, they are still learning how. And readiness cannot be handed to another person, it must be earned through inner work, through facing fears that have been avoided for years, through choosing vulnerability instead of protection. There are moments when they nearly reach out, moments when your name rests on their lips, moments when they hold their phone and imagine what they would say. Yet fear interrupts. Fear of saying the wrong thing, fear of not being enough, fear of reopening emotions they are not yet sure they can manage. So they remain silent, hoping time will fix what only courage can heal. Yet time continues bringing you back into their awareness, because unresolved connections rarely vanish. They linger. They wait. They return whenever distractions fade. Late at night, early in the morning, in conversations that feel empty, in relationships that lack depth. You become the quiet comparison they cannot ignore. This is also why signs seem to appear around you, not to keep you trapped, but to help you trust yourself. Whenever doubt begins to cloud your intuition, something appears to remind you that your experience is real. A song that mirrors your story. A dream where communication flows effortlessly. A memory that arrives carrying clarity rather than pain. These moments are not meant to pull you backward, they are meant to strengthen your trust. Trust does not mean suffering while you wait. It means staying connected to yourself while allowing what belongs to you to return naturally. A powerful shift is taking place within you. You are learning the difference between attachment and alignment. Attachment says, I need this person in order to feel okay. Alignment says, I am already okay, and I trust that what is meant for me will meet me honestly. That understanding changes everything. When you stop chasing answers and start embodying them, the energy begins to change. Something relaxes, the pressure fades, the connection is no longer driven by fear. It becomes grounded in peace and presence. And that is the state where true reunion becomes possible. Because if they returned while you were exhausted, doubting yourself, or abandoning your own needs, the cycle would simply repeat. But if they return when you are centered, confident, and emotionally whole, something different can emerge. Something healthier, something more balanced, something truly mutual. You are not being punished by the delay, you are being prepared by it. You are being prepared. Prepared to receive love without losing yourself. Prepared to recognize genuine effort instead of chasing endless possibilities. Prepared to meet them not as someone searching for validation, but as someone firmly rooted in her own value. They can feel this change, even if they cannot explain it. They sense you drawing your energy back toward yourself. They notice that you are no longer waiting in the same way. And strangely enough, that is what makes the connection feel more real to them, because now it is no longer guaranteed. It has to be chosen. This is where fear begins to loosen its hold, because the possibility of losing you completely starts to feel real. And reality has a way of breaking through avoidance. The heart begins speaking louder than old defense patterns. Memories become softer. Regret begins to appear. The desire to make things right grows stronger. You may experience moments where you suddenly feel calm and almost detached, followed by waves of emotion. That is alignment beginning to settle within you. You are no longer fighting the connection, but you are also no longer losing yourself inside it. You are allowing it to exist without trying to control the outcome. That balance carries great power. It signals to the universe that you are ready for truth, in whatever form it arrives, and truth always responds to readiness. The path between you is not blocked, it is being cleared. Old misunderstandings are fading away. Inner resistance is becoming weaker. What once felt chaotic is slowly arranging itself beneath the surface. You do not need to do anything else right now. No convincing, no explaining, no proving. Simply remain present. Remain honest with yourself. Stay open without chasing. Everything else is unfolding in its own timing. As this stage of the journey continues, you may begin sensing it more clearly, not as longing, but as quiet certainty. A knowing that does not beg for reassurance. A trust that does not depend on constant signs. Something is moving toward harmony. Not rushed, not forced, simply real. There comes a point when longing transforms into understanding, not because the connection becomes weaker, but because your relationship with it changes. You stop asking why this is happening to you and begin realizing that it may be happening for you. That shift may seem small, but it changes everything. It is the moment when pain begins turning into wisdom. You are starting to understand that this connection was never meant to consume your life. It was meant to reveal who you truly are. It was meant to remove what was false, to show where you abandoned yourself in the past, to teach you the difference between intensity and intimacy, between attachment and devotion, between fantasy and truth. Once that lesson begins settling into your life, the suffering starts losing its grip. You may notice that your thoughts about them are changing. They are no longer frantic or desperate. They arrive gently, sometimes with warmth, sometimes with clarity, sometimes with a calm acceptance that whatever unfolds must be rooted in authenticity rather than fear. This is a sign that emotional maturity is developing within you, and this is where the connection reaches a turning point. Because when one person within a soul bond grows, the entire dynamic must respond. Energy naturally seeks balance. When you stop chasing answers and start becoming the answer, the universe adjusts around you. What once felt stuck begins moving again. What once felt confusing begins finding order. They are feeling this shift as well. Even if they do not fully understand it, your energy is no longer reaching them through need. It reaches them through presence. It reaches them through absence. It speaks through a calm strength that cannot be controlled or ignored. And that affects them far more than pursuit ever could. Silence carries a different meaning now. It is no longer rejection. It is processing. It is self-reflection. They are being invited by life to look within and face the patterns they have depended on for safety. Avoidance, emotional distance, control. These strategies once protected them, now they keep them isolated. There are moments when they feel a strong urge to return, followed by moments of hesitation. This inner struggle is not really about you. It is about them standing at the edge of their own growth. Moving forward means risking vulnerability. Staying where they are means losing something meaningful. That tension cannot continue forever. What matters for you to understand now is this. The outcome of this connection does not depend on how much you hope. It depends on how deeply you honor yourself. The more you remain aligned with your truth, the clearer the path becomes. Whether that path leads to reunion or release, it will no longer destroy you. It will strengthen you. But there is something your soul already understands. This connection carries unfinished meaning. Not because it requires drama, but because it requires truth. Words left unsaid, feelings left unspoken, choices delayed because of fear. These things do not simply disappear, they wait for courage. Jung once said, Where your fear is, there your task is. Right now, fear stands before both of you, asking to be acknowledged. Your task was learning to trust your intuition without losing yourself. Their task is learning to open their heart without hiding. Both lessons are unfolding in their own time. You may even notice that the idea of reunion no longer excites you the way it once did. Not because you no longer care, but because you now desire depth instead of fantasy. You are no longer willing to accept confusion disguised as destiny. You want clarity. You want presence. You want effort. And this inner standard is not pushing them away. It is inviting them forward. Many people misunderstand soul connections. They believe they are meant to be endured forever, and that suffering proves depth. But true soul bonds are not designed to trap you in pain. They exist to guide you back to yourself, and then, if aligned, back toward each other in truth. You are stepping into that alignment.